against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the line, this is your song.
Hey, welcome everybody to our Patreons, I guess. So this is an extra show where I'm going to spend some time on a Sunday morning to send some stuff out to my Patreons. So you can get a link if you're a Patreon over on Patreon, and if you want a link over on Gun Channels, I guess let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go through do some work here, and I just figured I'd go live because there's nobody else live this morning. And I'm going to dig over into Patreon, and I'm not going to screen share any of this because it's going to show people's addresses and stuff. And it seems like every month you get to discover a new Patreon back end, like they keep screwing with it back there. Oh, I just got some new notification. Let's go see what that's all about. What is today? Today is the 17th. So it's none of this. Oh, this just 38 Super Partisan liking this post. So that's cool. So then I guess I go to manager. There's actually some pretty neat tools in here. And I haven't really even played with all of them. So let's see. We got October 2019. It's a couple of $100 less than what they tell you it's going to be, because I guess there's people with us. We've got 238 patrons. So there's 238 people that are supporting the work that we're doing here. That's pretty awesome. And because I guess they each, when you go to Patreon, you say you're going to pledge whatever, $1 or whatever, and then when that goes through, it might not, your card might not be there, or I guess people turn it off too, and I haven't figured that part out, because I'll get a little report that says who adjusted their level or turned it off, or who came on. And I mean, honestly, it's too much. It's too much detail to keep track of, so I don't dig into that every week or every month, I guess. But whatever that number is never the same as what the actual number that came in. So number that came in this month is still an amazing amount. It's over $1,000. It gets us, well, it's just over $1,000, but it pays bills and gets the big bills paid. So it's pretty awesome. So that's 200 people paying the bills, and we like to say thanks. So about every other month we'll send stuff out. And in this case, I just got back from a tour, so we'll be sending stuff out from the Gun Show Loophole Tour. So let's see, we've got a couple of different tiers. So Patreon is a way for people to subscribe or to financially support projects incrementally. So you can do that monthly, you can do that per issue or per chapter or per podcast, like per I guess what's the word, like incrementally, like per piece of work, or you can just do it like on a calendar basis once a month. And I do most of my support for other people once a month, just because why not? You never know how many pieces of work they're going to do. There are definitely some projects out there that do their support per show or per episode, per chapter, that kind of thing. And some months they're more productive than others. So some months you'll get 1 or 2 charges, or reasons to support them, or whatever, instances to support. But then if they're real productive one month, they might put out, I don't know, let's say 10 episodes instead of having to pay all 10. I mean, some people I suppose can pay all 10, but you can put a limit on it. So you could tell Patreon, I want to support them per episode, but to a maximum of $10 a month or something. So there's lots of different ways that people can use the platform. They can set it up, and we have perk levels, or different levels of support. And let's see, one of them is the $25 tier that we call the pit crew. That keeps the van on the road and the cop car. Well, the cop car doesn't drive anymore, but it keeps the cop car here. Doesn't really cost much to keep the cop car. I just have it insured, and that's it. So it costs like I don't know, less than $100 a year to have it just insured to be here. But I don't drive it anymore. I'm going to eventually probably get rid of it. But the pit crew tier helps keep the van on the road, and obviously that's a necessity for what we're doing. And it looks like we've got 1, 2. Is this the people that have always done it, or this is just October? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So that's basically the entire payment on the van, thanks to those 11 people. And those people are paying 25, and a couple of them are paying more than 25 a month. So thanks to the people that are doing that, and we'll send them out some stuff. So first, I'm going to print out their addresses. Their what do you call it? Like packages will be larger than just a stamp. So I need to print these on what do you call it? The printing service here onto address labels. That's what I'm saying. So I'll be doing that, and I have the link out there to people on Patreon. Since I'm just sitting here doing work, I guess I can jump over every once in a while and see what people are saying in the text chat. But if you want to join in, feel free. Important notice: we have issues downloading the labels after the you have this problem, fuckers. So let's see if I do have this problem. I hope not. They're saying that with some new stupid some new stupid Windows update, my printing or my postage place is having trouble. Let's see if I can. Hopefully some of these are in here. I don't have to type them in all again. Good, there are. Some things I can just click once and I get the whole address over to the system and everything's fine. Other things I have to move the name, then the street address, then the state, then the city, then the zip, and those take forever, but I don't think we're in that bind right now. All right, so I've been just chatting here, so I'm looking over at the comments. I'll read some of these, but again, there's links over on Patreon. If you want to join, feel free. Any Patreon can jump in today. If you want to join over from Gun Channels, let me know. I'll pay attention to the private messages over there. I'll send you a link if you want to jump in. It'd be great if somebody jumps in here, so I don't have to do the whole chatting myself here, but I'll be muting a little bit while I drink and catch my breath. If I get a big like ULP, what? And with 9 what and whatever. I don't know what you're trying to say there. If you want a petition for 9mm, you're welcome. It's just a weak anemic round created by Europe, so it's like having a big flag that says I like metric. Pants is saying, I bet a lot of people forget to update their credit card info when they expire. That's probably true. It happens to me where a card, well, what happens to me is my bank will just say, we sent you a new card. And I didn't ask for it or nothing. And it didn't, and it was nowhere close to expiring. I don't know what instigates it. They'll just send a new card and I won't think about it always. And now I do because it's happened enough times, but I'll think, oh, okay, great. I got a new card. Put it in your wallet. Sometimes you have to go to an ATM to trigger it or whatever to get it going. But then you start to realize all these online things stop working because, yeah, they are connected to that damn card. Hey, there's Meg. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, man. How's it going?
Yeah, fair to Midland. I was just up in your neck of your old neck of the woods in Flint. I spent a whole bunch of time actually in Flint.
Yeah, I saw some of that stuff on Instagram.
So when I went up by you, you're more like different. You're kind of between Flint and Detroit, right? And then this time I went up by Patriot, who's east of Flint, I guess. I don't know how big Flint actually is, but let's say east end of Flint. And then we drove around today, so I really got to like by you. I went up there, we bullshitted, and I booked out of there. So I really only kind of dug in and left. Both times during the day, though, I think. I might have got there at night. So I just don't remember seeing as much of Detroit, basically. So this time I almost saw nothing of Detroit because it brought me up way west of Detroit, up to Flint, and then kind of over to him. But during that day, driving around, just going to the different shops and stuff, I really got to see Flint. I think Flint was kind of I could see Flint being cool because if I'm understanding it right, go north of Flint and you're in the woods, right?
Yeah, it's
Like-
definitely it's like the last kind of big
Civilization.
city on your way up north.
Yeah, I could see that because it seems like because it's all run down, it's probably real cheap to live there, and you could just book right down to Detroit, 3 hours away from Chicago. You got other cities there that probably have interesting stuff. You're definitely close enough to like New York and stuff to be still considered East Coast, I think. And then you're like 15 minutes from being in basically the middle of nowhere at the end of that peninsula is all just forest but it's private land forest, right? It's not like out here where if it's forest, chances are the government owns it.
Yeah, we don't have a lot, like we don't have any BLM land kind of stuff. We do have like a national park, but that's on the west side of the state. Manistee National Forest is like pretty big. But other than that, most of it is it's farms and privately owned stuff.
And that's kind of cool because that means you could buy a chunk of it. That means you could have like hunting properties that you have leases on or something. So that seems pretty appealing. I could see living in Flint is what I guess I'm saying. I could see worse places, I think. But I was only there for a day, so I'm not moving to Flint or nothing. But anyway, I was just up in that neck of the woods. And what's neat is I got to sneak up there every place, really, knock on wood. I don't have to knock on wood anymore. I'm home. But like there was, when I first left in New Mexico, I think, there was like just like the moisture in the morning air. It was cold enough that was crystallizing, and it was almost like snow, but it was more like just the moisture in the air was crystallizing and falling down a little bit. And
frost.
Yeah, I was like, dang it, because I'm not used to any of that stuff. So I'm like, dang it, I totally forgot about the weather. And I had basically left with like these flimsy summer pants. And I mean, I brought a coat, but that's just because a coat was in my van. I didn't even think about the weather when I left Tucson. And then I'm like, dang it, I'm going north in December. So luckily there was like like a warm front around me or whatever. There was like a couple of nights where it got really cold, but every single day was like 60s, 50s. It was super nice. The whole trip was pretty good because I imagine I probably could have done that trip up to Detroit in November and gotten whale done, right?
Yeah, that's I think it was like the week after, or a few days after you were in Michigan, they got hit with a bunch of snow, because that's how I was talking to my parents. My mom sent me a picture of like they got 8 inches overnight and they were supposed to get 12 inches like 2 days later. And she's like, oh man, I bet you don't miss this stuff. I'm like, actually, I kind of do miss it, but I understand it's nice to not have to drive through it and crap.
New York is saying I'm looking for land. I'm told some theirs is cheap, focused on going where it's warmer though. Yeah, I don't know, but like Smeggy's saying, it's not. You get snow, but you don't get like killed like upper New York or like Maine or something. You got those lakes on both sides, which keep it kind of temperate, right? Like it never gets super horrible.
If you're on the west side of the state, they get a lot of lake effect snow.
But I mean, as
So
far
like
as getting like dangerous cold or anything, that doesn't happen in Michigan. It can get snowy because of the moisture, but it never gets like dangerous where you have to worry about being alive because of the weather or anything.
I don't know. Sometimes we get stupid Canada sneaks down.
Oh,
Like the polar vortex thing they've been talking about the past couple of years.
okay. Well, you are north than where I ever lived, so I'm just assuming. But
here's Michigan, and then the air comes down from Canada and goes whoop, gets all cold, and then goes this way into like New York and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Detroit's here, Flint's here, Grand Rapids here. All of this is up north. Anything up here is up north. And Flint's like here or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. The Flint would be your knuckle, and everything in your fingers would be just basically remote, right?
Yep. Say hi.
All right, so we're bullshitting here, but while we're doing that, I am printing out some address labels, and I just realized that if I do it this way, then I don't know how much stuff weighs. So I guess what I'll do instead of printing out address labels is just count. I know I need 11 of these. I will just count the where's a piece of scrap paper? I'll count the number of Patreon levels, and then I'll go start assembling. So that's really what I wanted to do, is turn the camera on and start assembling some stuff here from all the loot. And since Maggie's here, I can actually do that without wasting too much time. So I'm gonna do this.
Well, now I feel bad because I was about to jump out in a minute here.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I was just going to say, if you want to join in, I have a link on Patreon. So anybody who's a Patreon can jump in. And then if you're on Gun Channels and you want to jump in, let me know. But we got 11 of the pit crew. So basically, since the people that are paying the most money, right, I'm going to give them the most loot. Makes sense, right? So then I've got another level called the ammo box. So that's, or the box of ammo. So we've got tiers, different levels of perks or whatever. They each have a different price. So the $25 one, I'm calling the pit crew. The $19 one, which is basically $20, is what I'm calling box of ammo, because that's about what a box of ammo might cost, right? And there's 2, 4, 6, 7 people on that level. So they're both basically paying though $20 a month, which is not insignificant. That's a lot of money. So try to send them some neat stuff. And these are people like Foos, Patriot, Iraq Veterans been in there since I've done Patreon. Iraq Veterans been giving me $20 a month. A couple of people, I don't know who all wants to be named or not, but a couple of people, almost everybody on this has been a patron for a long time. So I'm more than comfortable sending them stuff. Like if I get stuff, buy patches and that kind of stuff. Then we've got another level called chocolate chip pancakes. So that's $12. And that's kind of what chocolate chip pancakes ends up costing you at a store. We got 2, 4, 6, 7 people on that level also. But once you get down to $12, I'm not going to spend $7 to send you something. So that's one of the other things I do, and it's $20. That's a lot of money. Now there's going to be a little bit of fees, of course, but you throw away those, I guess. But when I go to send stuff out, some of the stuff I want to send out is full size 8.5 by 11, and that costs $7.50 to ship. I'm not going to send that stuff to somebody who's supporting at the less than $7 level, right? Because then they're not supporting. They're just paying for some stuff that they're not even paying for completely for. But on the other end, if they're paying $25 every other month or so, I'll spend $7 in shipping, because I know that somebody's not paying $20 a month to pay for shipping. You know what I mean? They're not buying stuff. They're trying to support the project. So I hate to spend too much on shipping. But anyway, I'm trying to explain that I'll also send a lot of stuff, because in a $7, what is that called? Fixed rate or whatever. You can cram pounds into there. They don't care what the weight is, as long as it fits in the envelope. So anyway, that's one of the reasons I do it every other month, so people aren't basically paying for shipping. Because if they want to pay for shipping, they can just buy stuff from the store. These are people that are trying to support the project, support the gas in the van and that kind of stuff. So they don't want to pay for shipping. But once you get down to the $12 and less tiers, then it's just going to be stickers and patches, stuff that costs less than $3 to ship. Because the same thing, I just don't want to spend $8 of their $12 on shipping. Nobody's supporting to pay for shipping. Nobody's really supporting to get stuff in the mail, I don't think. Trying to do this as a thank you and not a massive burden on the funding or whatever. So that's the chocolate chip pancakes. Then we get down to the BLTs, which is $5. Although I don't think I've seen a BLT for $5 in a while. They're usually more like $7 anymore.
Is that the one that's 5.56 though?
No, I got it at $5 like an idiot. I don't know why I did that. I should put it at 5.56. Doesn't make any sense.
I think I dropped down to the 5.56 level.
Well, I think everybody is paying. Most people are paying 5.56. So maybe it is set to 5.56, but I wrote it $5 here. I don't know. There's also a couple of people that are paying $10 in this level, like Travis from Nebraska is doing $10 at this level. So it lets you put whatever you want in there, I guess, when you're at whatever level. Obviously, if it's more than the number. I mean, I won't let you put $5 level and put $2 in. But now there's a lot of these. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Like it's that way. 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I do like doing it this way. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's Smeggy. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. DTP. 2, 4, 6, 8. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 48. So there's 48 at the BLT level. So like I say, if I tried to ship something, even at the $3 level there, that's a heck of a lot of money. Nobody wants to pay for that. So I'll probably ship stuff at that level out in like with stamps, like a regular old envelope, cheapest way to do it. Piece of paper, it says thanks, and then the thing, and then some stamps. Because again, I'm just trying to be as practical, as cheap as possible with that. But see right there, that's a shit ton of people at $5, and that's probably the majority. That probably is heavier, outweighs the $25 people, because that's, what did I just say? 48 people times 5. Is that 200 and something?
Like it's 240.
Yeah, that's almost as much as the 10 people doing the $2 to $25. So that's 500 of our $1,000 a month right there between the $5 months. So what I like about this compared to other things I've done like YouTube, I made a shit ton more money on YouTube for sure, but I was with so many people that I couldn't know them all, and there was no way to know them all. And the only way I knew them all is if they like stalked me, or it was just uncomfortable the way that you would know people when there's that many. So one of the things I really like about the Patreon is, like right now when I'm going to send this stuff out now, okay, so I've got 10 people at the $25 level, and I just have their addresses because I've sent them stuff. Like I say, those people pretty much stay the same. So I've had their addresses in my shipping software, so I can just start typing in. Who on here doesn't care? Probably Russ doesn't care. Like I'll typing in Russ, guy who stole his dog, right? And it'll fill out his address. So that's pretty easy. I can just do that. Sometimes I don't send stuff to Russ because he lives in Tucson. I'll just give it to him. But let's say I was going to send him $7 worth of stuff. So that's $75 right there. Boom. Sending 10 people $77 worth of shipping. So then I drop down to one of the other levels and I'm sending $3 worth of shipping. And then, of course, I'm not counting what costs to go in the envelope, because a lot of times that's just stuff I find on the road or I get cheap or whatever. But there's some effort to put what's in the envelope. But then once you get down to the larger numbers of people, and then I've got another tier that's $3, the cup of coffee a month. And that's like another, I didn't count it yet, but it looks like it's about similar, 40 people maybe. And then there's the $1 tier that anybody can put anything they want in there. But the thing is, like Yankees in there at $50. So even though it's the $1 tier, that's basically everybody who doesn't want a perk. Sportsman's Guide is in there for $50. So I got $100 coming between Yankee and Sportsman's Guide for this projects that don't want anything in return. So that's a little behind the scenes. So what I like about this compared to YouTube is YouTube was paying me a lot more. But the only feedback I would ever get, the only what's the word, like any kind of interaction with another human being, was through the comments. And those were people that decided to use the comments. And on YouTube, an anonymous platform, at least half, depending on what your content you're doing. If I was a girl, it'd be even worse. But at least half of them were weird trolls, people I don't want to know in real life, and don't have anything to do with the fact that I'm making money on YouTube. They just exist and like to use the comments, where Patreon, on the other hand, allows the people that actually give a shit about the content to be intimately involved. And I know the 200 people, like for me, every other month when I send stuff out, I'm scrolling through that list and I know who those 200 people are. When somebody leaves, like get a little alert that so-and-so left, I know who that person is. Now, this one guy who left was a significant contributor. He left because we had a fight, basically. I contradicted him on a thing, I think, on a live chat. He said something and I was like, well, no, I don't agree with that, blah, blah, blah. And so he took the next day, he took his contribution and left. And, that's way more to me, way more interesting and useful than YouTube. Because, it's just for so many levels. So I'm really digging the Patreon. And anyway, so now I've got the list here. I guess I should count the last one here, the $3. I'll send stuff out to the $3 people. Like they say, the $1 people, which is the majority. I can't even count them all. Shit, there's a shit ton. There's probably 100 people in here that are dropping $1, and then some of these 20 of them are dropping $2 maybe, and then some $3, and there's some $5 and a $10 in there. So then you drop down to the people that don't even have a perk. That's where like Yankee and Sportsman's Guide are. A couple other people. There's stuff in here. There's only a couple of 50s, but there's $5, $2, a whole bunch of dollars in there. So even like Never Enough Ammo's in there for $1. Like, he's not trying to support my channel as much as link to my page, right? Like, but I know, like, it's unlike YouTube or unlike, I'm trying to think any other funding thing. I guess with PayPal, if you had a PayPal button and someone directly PayPal'd you, you could use PayPal, but you'd basically have to keep track of it all on your own. Their contribution or whatever would just be in the PayPal list, and depending on how much you use PayPal, you'd have to remember why they have a $2 next to their name or why there's a $5 next to their name. Where Patreon has a system where you can keep track of it, and I know like New York's asking, do they give you their addresses? In Patreon, if you're set it up as perks, if you're sending something out as a perk, like something that gets sent out, then you can ask for their address, and they can decide whether to give you an address or not. Like Yankee puts $50 in every month, and I don't even think he puts his address in there. So even if I wanted to send him something, I mean, I do know Yankee's address, but even if I wanted to, as far as Patreon's concerned, he's never filled that out, so I wouldn't be able to send him anything. But if you're talking about like just privacy or whatever, it's up to the individual. If you want something from the person that you're contributing to, obviously you need to put some address on there. It doesn't have to be your address, it just has to be a mailing address.
Yeah, and then I think one more thing. I'm just about to jump out here, but I've noticed some places they'll perk will be like a T-shirt or something, and then the creator can use Patreon, not only be like, oh, what's your address, but also, oh, like what size T-shirt you want, or like if it's a whatever, like you can set the perk, and then the owner of the Patreon thing can like send you an email with like a question, like, oh, did you want the blue one or the purple one or whatever? So I know there's that stuff in there too. But like I said, I'm going to jump out. So everyone listening and G-Webs, have a good day. And I'll see you guys around.
Right on. Thanks for jumping in. So there's 36 of those other ones. So then, oops, what did I just close over there? There's 36 of the coffees. All right, so then what I'll do is turn on the camera here. Again, if anybody wants to jump in, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'll just be blabbing here. But I'll turn on the phone camera thing over there, start digging into the crap I found on the trip. And now that I know how to divide it up, we'll start dividing it up. Once I've divided it all up, we can see what they weigh and get the pickups. Then I can send out I can print out the labels once I know what they weigh. So it looks like I've got 11 pit crews to come up with. We'll do 7 ammo levels, 7 chocolate chip pancakes, and then the remainders of BLTs and coffees. Let's see. Okay, I wasn't sure it worked. I've got to get a P.O. box though. I definitely encourage you to get a P.O. box. Now, a P.O. box specifically is a post office box, and that means from the post office. Unless you have to, I can't recommend those. Post office boxes can be the least expensive option for an alternative address, but they're the least useful. They are the post office, so they're only going to take mail and put it in that slot for you. The biggest service they offer is if they send something to you that's huge, they'll put a little notice and a key into your little box, and then you'll have a giant locker, out in the lobby or something where they put the actual package, and then you'll get the little key, you'll open the locker, right? That's about the biggest service you'll get. You might even not get that. You might have to just get a little announcement that you got a package and then wait for them to be open before you can go up to the counter and get your giant package. So I've had P.O. boxes more than once, and they're only useful when you need like a very official mail address that like I say, you don't care about the lack of features. And the alternative is going to just your UPS store, your copy place, your mailing store that has mailboxes, and those are much better because a post office box is only going to have so many, because a post office isn't doing that for a living. They just offer it as a service, I guess. They don't have any obligation to create more of them that I'm aware of. So if you go to like a good zip code in your town, and you try to get a PO box there, more than likely they're full, and you'll have like a waiting list. So if you go to a good zip code in town and check out private mailboxes, you'll find more. And as soon as they're all full, they'll either add more or another place will start up. So you can tweak. You can get a good zip code. So if you live in a town that has 5 zip codes, you can go to the zip code that's the best for whatever your purposes are, or you can tweak the zip code, which is nice. Next, you can, of course, since it's competition, you got private entities, you can go to the one that has the best service or that can give you the best deal. I've used, again, many of them over the years, but only time I ever leave them is when they go out of business. One went out of business, one time I moved, but the ones that I've had long term, I've kind of researched them a little bit beforehand, grabbed them in a zip code I wanted, and then made sure I liked the people and they were going to be okay. The guy I got now did gun shows before, so I know he was going to have no problem with guns. He's super competent. Like he could be an engineer or something. I don't know why he's running a post office place, but him and his wife just are incredible people. So super competent and comfortable having my address with them. They've been able to, like the 2A rally flag, that was shipped to me the 2 days after I left. So as soon as it got there, they shipped it to Marco in DC, and it couldn't have been easier. It's just that kind of relationship is handy. With a post office, I would have been screwed. I would have had to find somebody to get to the post office and have authorization to open it for me, get the package, and then ask them to ship it and depend on them to be able to understand the systems and blah, 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 to get that thing as fast as possible, as cheap as possible. So, yeah, but the thing is, you don't have to have stuff go to your house. You don't have to be home. You can, all different things can, all different circumstances can kind of be eliminated from issues. There's so many issues you don't think about when you're by yourself having to worry about one mailing address. Having multiple mailing addresses is definitely comfortable and not real expensive, and 100% worth it if you're doing any kind of projects, not just business, but just projects. It's super nice having a separate mailing address. And the grandpa's out there. So I'm in the duck and I can tell when people are jumping in. So I think I'm done over here. I'm going to spend a bit of time jumping over. Oh, there's Honda. I'll give Honda a link over here. I don't think he's a Patreon. See him on Gun Channels. If anybody else on Gun Channels wants a link, let me know. DMing him a link. See Snobs over there. But otherwise, I will be on dead air here for a bit while I jump over, I guess I can kind of I should probably have to email this to at least somebody to get it on my phone. Oh, there's Honda. Hey, when are you doing your chat? You don't do your chat till later on today.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock tonight, dude. It's actually going to be a good one for the Second Amendment, I hope.
Why?
I'm covering Sol Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. It's basically Sun Tzu's Art of War for activism in the 21st century.
Yeah. The whinings of wimpiness, because it's like the art of war is like significant, like strong and like useful. This is like how to stab people in the back and then cower away and then also exploit the situation and profit from it. It's like super creepy.
Yeah, there's definitely some like snidely stuff in there that they definitely use, but I think that there's also some really interesting and good tactics that we might be able to adapt to what
Oh, yeah.
we're trying to do. So
So did you listen to it or did you read it?
I listened to the book from beginning to end. I read it a long time ago on a recommendation, but yeah,
Oh,
I just recently re-listened to it, and I've been watching several different people who are experts, let's say, in that field talk about what they feel is the most important part of this or that, or examples of how this was used or that was used and stuff. And I'm trying to put it all together into a presentation together. I'm just starting to I'm to that point now. So between now and 7:00 tonight, I got to get that all done. But yeah, I got all the information anyway.
First off, Kingpin is saying, so in other words, the Democrat playbook. No, it's the communist socialist playbook. And
yeah, he's a
Democrats-
Marxist.
Yeah, he's a Marxist, but it's a socialist, like how to corrupt a thriving economy, how to corrupt a thriving society, how to corrupt culture. It doesn't matter if you're, what do you call, capitalist or anything. It's not a Democrat, it's not Republican. It's just how to destroy, how to create, how to encourage decay so that you destroy without needing resources more than the whisper in an ear. It's a really horrible, like it's a negative type of thing, but it's not Democrat. The Democrats use it as all, because in other words, it's bigger than Democrats. It's just like how to be a dick, how to be evil, and then the Democrats have used it, and that's what's scary, is because it's nothing. It's just like the art of war. It's just obvious stuff. It's just that they picked all the like slimiest, like underhanded, obvious stuff and emphasized it and clarified it and said, hey, just in case you thought this was immoral, there are no morals. Do what you feel like. And then that existed. And what's super gross and horrible is that the Democrats would look at that and then use it because it's unscrupulous. It's shitty. It's unmoral.
Well, Hillary Clinton used to write like fan letters to Saul Alinsky in the 60s when she was in college, or early 70s is when he died. So it had to be right around that time. And like some of those letters have come up, and resurfaced like from Hillary Clinton. And his book that he wrote, Rules for Radicals, he dedicated to Lucifer. So yeah.
Yeah, and
but
I just typed it in there, but I'm just saying that I'm just trying to say that it's like that much more evil than just it's sucky that the Democrats are using it, but it's so much more than just a Democrat playbook.
But that being said, there are some really useful, not so slimy tactics that they spell out in great detail in this book as to how to organize people and how to lionize a subject and how to keep something interesting and fun and cool and get people involved, like all of that stuff. And that's the part that I'm trying to extrapolate so that we can, I don't know, at least get some ideas going. I think it's going to be a great chat. I could be wrong. It might be the worst chat I ever did.
That sounds good. And in addition to what you were saying, how there's useful things in it, I think it's also, at least when I've only listened to it once, but when I was listening to it, I thought it would be ultimately useful to listen to it to know when you're being played by one of its tricks or one of its
right.
Like,
and that's another angle.
I'm in a Rules for Radicals scam. Like when Obama got up and said, I'm a community organizer, if I would have read this book first, I would have been so much more anti-Obama than I could have ever been, because I knew he was saying freaking communist buzzword or whatever.
Yeah, he's just fake.
All right, well, I got to go. Number one, I'm going to go to the bathroom because now you're here. But then two, I got to go set up my camera over here and we'll start digging into all the loot. So if you want to chat about your thing, I see Clover's out there. Anybody who's a Patreon, feel free to jump in. There's links over on the Patreon. Just as a post or whatever. It's not any secret thing. If you want a link over on Gun Channels, there's Clover. I'll send him a link. Here we go. But I got to go to the bathroom, so I'll be back in a minute. Take the show.
You're good, man. Yeah, so it's also going to be about what G was just saying, like know your enemy, like see what tactics they're using. That way you can at least identify them and call them out when they're doing them. And some of the things that the leftist crazy Antifa people, like the violence and stuff that they've been doing, is in this book. Like, he advocates for it because it's a way to move the ball forward. So like when we're looking at stuff like that, they're just useful idiots because, you know, like if you can incite people to violence, you're not the one getting arrested. You know, it's those people. And like, oh, sorry, you're arrested, but thanks a lot. You know, like that's kind of the kind of stuff that they do, is trick people into doing their bidding for them. And like, those are the things that I'm not advocating that we as a Second Amendment community are going to do at all by any means. Like there's other things, but yeah, definitely like that's in there. And the like double-handedness, you know, like let me tell you one thing and do another, and like all that stuff, and pretend to believe something because that's what you believe. Or, you know, if having long hair, for instance, is a barrier to people listening to me because they think I'm some long-haired hippie, or like, hey, I shaved, now people don't like me, I better grow my beard of shame back, like that kind of thing. Yeah, like grow the beard back so that people will listen to you. I don't know, but like there's a lot to it, and we're gonna go into it tonight. So I hope you guys check out the Gay Frog Chat. But yeah, man, fucking work this weekend sucked. I don't know what you guys do, but definitely don't get into the industry that I'm in. Whilst you make good money, your body pays a toll. I could feel my spleen or whatever. There was something in my gut today. I guess that was today. That was this morning, like early, or late last night. Because of the amount of stress that I was feeling, I felt like my spleen was like pumping hormones into my body, dude. It was awful. But we got through it, and now we're off. Hey, what's up, Clove?
Not a whole lot.
Nice, man. How you doing today?
Not too terrible. It's all good. All downhill.
Sounds like you're holding.
All downhill, man.
Sounds like you're holding back, man.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I've complained all week, so I hate to complain much more.
Yeah.
It's one of them things. Come back from Tulsa, about halfway got sick, and the house was flooded, and the heaters busted, and gee, what else? I don't know. It was horrible. It was a horrible week, man.
Yeah. I just had to put $2,500 into my car, so
Yep.
I feel you on the. I mean, I didn't have to like get sick or like deal with the flooded basement, but you know,
I didn't have to worry about
it was every penny I fucking had, you know.
Well, I didn't have to worry about that, but my wife did end up getting 2 flats, so that was fun, and they were non-repairable. So I had to go take tires off of wheels off of a car on the side of the road and go into town, and ended up having to buy 2 used tires. So instead of just getting stuff fixed, so that sucked. But yeah, it wasn't a good week. That happens sometimes.
Hey man, they can't all be bad ones, you know.
Yeah, it's just life. Every now and then it's going to try to kick you in the damn teeth, right? Bob and weave, man. Bob and weave. That's all you can do.
Roll with them punches.
All right. So does this mic work now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one of these projectiles weighs the most? It ain't this little orange plastic one.
I'm gonna say the old looking, that one that you just had with the red tip.
This one? Well, it's
The red tip.
I don't know. That silver one's going to be pretty close, isn't it?
That one.
This one here?
No, you got a solid silver one, isn't it?
No, this one here is the titanium, or I don't know what it is, but this is the heaviest thing by damn far. I should get a scale. Say I got a scale right here.
That's what I said. That's what I said. That one should be the heaviest.
Is it depleted uranium or something?
Yeah, so I think it is. It's some sort of metal that's not regular metal.
Yeah, it's really dense.
Eat this. It ain't working. You can't see that.
No.
This one weighs 1.98. Oh no, this one is 4. Holy shit.
Oh wow. Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, 1.98. Oh no, 3. I'm just crazy. It just feels like it weighs more because it's so small, I guess. Yeah, these all weigh 4. But if this thing was as big as these, it would weigh like 5 times more. But I guess it just feels like it weighs more because it is so little.
I'm good to know you got back to Arizona all good, man. Sorry, Denver people were messing with you.
Huh?
Sorry, all the Denver people were messing with you when you were here. I mean, there was like the Walmart thing, and then they were following you, and then there was the code compliance officer who just happened to be at my house when you were here.
Oh yeah, I never even thought about that. Yeah, like of the 3 times in all my travels that I've ever been run out of a parking lot, like by somebody official, I guess the only times I've ever been run out of a parking lot, 2 of them were in Denver on this trip.
Yeah.
This is one of the things I like about doing the 50 collection like this, right? Is I can just start winding it up in a coil or a roll. And then it looks super badass from this angle. Seeing all the projectiles.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it pretty easy to hold. It's just that it's super dangerous because that's a hell of a lot of live primers on this thing.
It'd be pretty funny to like see someone run a 50 cal belt with ammo that looked like that. It was like every round was something crazy and different.
Like all different colors popping out the ends. So
I got exactly.
This one, which is just all armor piercing tracers, I think. And then 1 or 2 balls, but mostly that. I've got this one, which is all unique. South African incendiary, I think. I think this is, I'm trying to remember. This is a armor piercing. This is an indoor round. This is an actual projectile that'll get ripped off and shoot. Like this will hurt or kill, but they can shoot the 50s indoors. This is a Sabo, so this is like a 308 round inside of a 50. This is a dim tracer, so the tracers that are only seen under infrared that they would put next to the Rufus rounds. This is I think this is an incendiary armor piercing tracer, armor piercing, and then just plain tracer. So, you know, silver and red, silver, red. Then you got blue, which I think is incendiary, and then squiggly lines. Wait, this last one is squiggly lines? No, these are just 2 blanks, sorry. 1 blank is, yeah, they're basically the same. 1 blank just has 1 kind of primer hole, and this one has kind of a fake primer hole. Anyway, these are a couple of individual ones. I'll probably be putting that up somewhere. This is another small selection with one of those indoor rounds, a dim tracer. What is this? Armor piercing, and then tracer armor piercing. And then a very similar one with this blue one added to it. So I've got it all broke down now. This one, there's no need to sell it. I'll probably just use this as future trades or something. All right, but now we get into the stuff from the tour. First, I only bought this because I haven't bought a Switchblade in a while, but I'm going to give this to a Patreon. It's just a big giant.
That sucker is big.
7-inch
Lord.
Switch.
Jesus.
Big blade on it. It's just neat. I wanted to buy it. It was like $20, but you know, you just every once in a while you got to buy a giant Switchblade. So that'll go out right now.
It's almost a sword, short sword.
Yeah, seriously. I bought this one too because Ghost gave me a $100 bill, so I went back in there and I bought USA. How often do you see a USA made
Butterfly knife. Yeah.
Whoops. But
don't chop your finger up.
But it's super well made. Like, it flips good, and there's no play. I'm wiggling the shit out of it. It's a decent knife, and it was $20.
Nice. I like the Tonto.
Yeah, it's a Tonto, but what do they call it when it's flat on one side and just the grind on the one side?
Oh, I don't know.
It's like, it's easier to make, I think, so that's why they're cheaper. But I don't have a problem with that. I think that's actually a pretty decent way to do a blade, and it's balanced good. The little locky thing is good. It's like, man, it's a really nice butterfly knife, and I dig butterfly knives. I just hate owning shitty butterfly knives. So this was a $20 USA made butterfly knife. I think it's my new favorite butterfly knife. It's hard to do it with this thing right here. Fucker. All right, so that's not going, but that was a thing from the store. I stopped by the Machine Gun Nest finally. So Machine Gun Nest is in Maryland. It's about an hour something north of DC. Our friend Marco shoots there a bunch, but I heard about it when they went from a gun shop to a range with a crowdfunding project, and I thought that was the coolest shit ever. They did that years ago, and they're a cool shop. They're super aware of Instagram. They have a lot of fun with it. They've been doing some kind of high production, I would guess you would call it, like high production value stuff over on Instagram. They're a neat shop. So I finally got to check them out. I've been by there twice, I think, when they were closed, but this time I got to check them out when they were open. And I grabbed 4 of their patches. You know, I'm not going to dig. We might find more of them later, but this one is this is number 10 of 100. They only made 100 of these. So this is a limited edition, their 4th year anniversary. This is just their logo kind of murdered out, all black. And then this is their logo with the red, white, and blue stuff going on. So I'll just send these out, I think, randomly.
There's a lot of detail in those.
What's that?
On those patches, I said there's a lot of detail in those.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The bullets and everything are really well done. So I'll probably chat with them more to find out, just kind of play tips and tricks with their design stuff, because they definitely have a good relationship with their patch guy. And it's a different one than ours, because ours doesn't put made in China on everything. So that means it's coming from a different factory somewhere. This is some brochure. Got a lot of brochures. So like I said, I might find another one of these as I dig. I don't remember if I got 4 or 5 of those. Now this one I'm probably going to keep. I'm just showing it off. But I got this one from John Crump. This one, it's hard to see, but it says 3% United Patriots of Virginia. And it's got, I think this is some sort of statue, or else it's a mountain man. But I don't know why they'd have a mountain man in Virginia. And then I think it's a skeleton hand doing 3%. So it's an interesting one, but I'll stick it on the wall of the van because I got it. I got this one from SDI, but I think I might keep that one too. I don't know. You guys let me know if you really want the SDI one. You can have it. I'll throw out one of the Model 1 sales. I don't know if you guys know about Model 1 sales. They're
nice.
Place. You know about this place?
Yeah, I've got quite a few parts from Model 1. They're just up the road here.
Oh, I didn't know that. So I'll have to check them out one day when I go to Texas. So I only know about them because they go to gun shows, the big gun shows. And I have my pistol barrels from Model 1 sales. So I seen them down there by the ammo cans and by my poncho liners down. And
right.
I was walking by and they had these patches. They do the thing where they have like the display cases with the glass and all their parts are in there. And these were just kind of in there. So I go, hey, how much are those patches? I have a barrel. And they go, here. And they gave me 2 of them. So I'll throw one into the Patreon.
Nice. Next time I'll have to go by and ask.
What did I got? One of these is for Yankee, though, but one of them's for my Patreon.
That's cool.
Looks familiar.
So I went to BMC and everything's just fucking, it's like, it's as if like 2 looter, right? What are they called? It's like as if, it's like 2 hoarders live here that are competing to hoard the most. And then I have this like little narrow walkway through it and all kinds of stuff precariously balanced around. So I can't like make a wrong move here or else like piles of hoarding shit will fall into the camera here. But anyway, I went to BMC in Albuquerque and they said, oh, definitely send your FUD crew these Elmer patches. Then I went to Whittingham Center on the way back.
That's a cool patch. Is that a patch or a sticker?
No, that's a patch. I thought it was PVC at first because it's so clean. This is Whittingham Center. This is their 2019, and these are 8.5 by 11, but I got a shit ton of these. So I'll send out a bunch of these to people at some level. But yeah, this is a embroidered patch. I thought it was PVC at first. Here's how stupid the NRA is. Look how cool this patch is. I go, what is you? What is this? And they go, oh, this is some kind of classes we offer at the Whittington Center where blah, blah, blah. You can learn like everything from basic pistol to blah, 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 and you go through our university. And I'm like, okay, it's cool. I mean, I don't pay attention to what's going on here, but I didn't know about it, so that's neat, right? Like you say, it's a catchy patch, right? So it's nothing too obvious, but it's a catchy patch, right? How much would you think this patch should cost? That's how big it is.
$10.
Right? So now let's take a look at some other stuff from there. Oh, I knew there was another one. Here's the other one from Machine Gun Nest. It's like a Top Gun theme.
That's cool. I like that.
So I got a couple other patches just because I have a couple already and they keep coming out with new ones because they're jerks. So I'm going to keep getting them. So I got this one for the van. So this one's mine. And this one costs $6. And it's just a patch with no Velcro. Right? Then I got two of these. So one of these will go to the Patreons. And this one costs $5. No Velcro. Just a shitty embroidered patch. And it's like super thin. Right? And it's got a little bit of color. So now going back to this one, got the Velcro sewn on and how some of them have the piece of other side of Velcro right with it. So how much do you think this one costs?
$3.
Yeah, stupid ass NRA. $3. So that's obviously why I got a bunch of those.
And it was for, that kind of goes toward, helps the university side of things too, which is kind of dumb.
Does it?
They could be putting more, I wouldn't you think? I mean, that would be
just in the gift shop. I really don't think they isolate any, but it makes no sense at all because they're right. It should be 13, right? And then 10 of it should go to the university project.
Right.
Honestly, Wayne LaPierre shouldn't be wearing $26,000 suits, and all that money should be going to the university.
Well, that's true too.
All right, so now here's the thing: is Gary out there? Because I'm pretty sure Gary has. Oh shit! Whatever. Gary has patches from J.M. Davis, right? Am I on here still?
Yeah.
Okay. I touched it, and my phone's going all weird now. Doesn't Gary have a patch that's this? It's like a whatever that dome shape would be, and it's flat on the bottom, and it says this.
I don't.
With Velcro, I think. Pretty
I don't
sure
know.
Gary's patches. You don't got one?
I've got mine are like that.
That are round like this?
Yeah, and they got the little loop thing on them and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I hate this. This is stupid as hell. This is either supposed to go on a button. So that means like a shirt, you're supposed to put this on your shirt pocket button and have this dangling off your boob like some kind of idiot. Or this is a Christmas ornament. And what the hell?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, an ornament.
So this is all they got for patches. So obviously I'm going to rip this stupid thing off of here and sew Velcro on the back. But
Yeah.
I could swear that Gary had one that was a real patch. And I kept trying to get the old lady there to like understand what I was talking about. I kept going like, there was a patch that looked like this. And she's like, I don't know what you mean. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to quit trying to bug you about it. But if Gary's got one or somebody's got one, I'm definitely interested in training. I'm going to keep this one, turn it into a patch, but I'll put the rest of these like boob danglers from the J.M. Davis.
It's easy enough. I took an X-Acto knife and basically cut the little loop off and put Velcro on mine. It's not too bad.
Mr. Boob Jangles. Get it? Bojangles. We rewrote it.
Now we went to up by Patriot, and he's got a really cool gunshot or surplus store there that I grabbed. For example, this. How much do you think? It's a gallon bag here, right? A gallon baggie full of. And try not to put the price on there. See how it's like just a bunch of different colors and lengths and pieces of $5.50, and it's 1.5 pounds of it. How much do you think this bag costs?
$5 at a surplus store.
At a surplus store, this surplus store right here.
If $10 maybe.
What do you think, Clover?
$7.
See, but I bought it. So those prices, maybe like a regular person would have bought it, $3.
Holy crap.
So that's this surplus store. And then I guess the story is that they made these things to put them on hats, and then nobody wanted their hats or whatever. So they just have like a ton of these. So Patriot gave me 4 of them. So we'll put those out. I've had those before because Patriot sent me a bunch before. And then I'm going to bust this open, and whenever I'm putting together packages, I'll put 550 in, because who the heck can't use 550? There's no orange in here, so I might keep the purple. And I was thinking there's a couple of colors in here I don't have. I don't care about the blended colors too much, but there was this like gray color that I don't think I have, and I kind of like that gray color.
You can use it for your boob dangles.
Right.
I'm going to dig into this, but I don't think this is just to show off. I don't think any of this stuff's going to Patreons. So I lost my little knife somewhere. It's in this cabinet to my right underneath all my hoarding loot.
Whoa.
You lost the one I sent you?
No, that one I have.
Oh.
But the ones that I got in the set for my Patreons like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That guy was at the show though. So I'm pretty sure this is the kind I had. A little blue Tonto is what I kept, I think. But I thought it had, oh no, this one does have a hole in the handle. So I got that one, but as I was looking, I had this one. And this one just was too damn cool, so I grabbed it also.
That one is.
Because this one almost seems useful. Like you can almost hold this. It's not sharp at all. I mean, you can even tell on camera, like it is super flat. But that might be a neat project to sharpen this one. And it almost seems like it would actually be a useful little, knife for picnics.
Work for a letter opener or something, right? Package opener.
And then I got this at shot like upstairs in the room where they had all the all the production stuff. It was how well they could 3D, because you can't tell, but there's like a gap in the cylinder and everything.
Oh, so that's plastic.
No, this is 3D printed. Sorry. So this is a little. It's like a. You know what this is like? A Monopoly piece. It's exactly like holding a piece of Monopoly.
So it's a metallic.
Yeah, this is metal. This is like
wow.
Computer.
Wow.
It's just that I found this in the van, and it's from SHOT Show last year. Anyway, for that to patrons maybe. Wow. And then I've been collecting these. Let me go grab these things.
Those little knives are cool, man. I would buy those if you could find them. Like, I'm sure they're sold somewhere, but like Roro or like someone who does that, who's in the community, were to make a bunch of little tiny knives like that and then sell them for like.
These things I get them for like $6 or something, because they come from Taiwan or from wherever it is, Pakistan, wherever they're making the knives. Yeah. They just make it out of their little chips, and they probably make the children do this so that they learn how to be slave labor. If you try to get a road to make it, it would cost you like $14. Or
is it really? Is it real Damascus?
Yeah, it's real. Yeah, crazy. It's just a little like slivers when they chop the metal up.
They use their scraps. Yeah,
little tiny bolts and little tiny rock handles. It's like some kind of blue rock for the handles. They're like
cool, dude.
Done. Like it's a little sharp, but you could probably put this, since this is real materials. I bet you could put a couple of hours into fiddling with this, and this would be like a legit 100% sharp little knife. It's just that they didn't bother to do the finish on it. You could probably spend some time rounding it and sharpening, and have a wicked little play knife. So what I do with these are at the museums. They have these things where you stick a penny in there and it squishes them into the thing with their, like I got this one from or you guys got me these ones from Woolarock, and I got another one from J.M. Davis, but then I had these from like the Browning Museum, and some of the other museums have them. So I've been trying to collect them, and then I just cut out a piece of the sticky Velcro and stick it on the back and make them into metal patches. So that's why I've been collecting these. If I got any extras, they'll eventually go out to Patreons, but not yet. But whenever I make the patch panel things, the magnetic patch panels, half the time I got to buy both sides of Velcro. So I've got all this Velcro laying around that I can't use for nothing. So I stick it to the back of these little pennies. Yeah. If anybody wants this little thing, let me know. I was just probably going to stick it in with my Glock keychains. But I don't need it or anything. It's a little rude. I don't know what it is. I think it's I guess it's what the hell would be that long without any kind of underlug? I was going to say Ruger, but it's definitely not beefy enough to be a Ruger. And it's probably like it's not a Smith. Like an old Colt, maybe?
Possibly, yeah.
Like an old single action, because it has no underlug. But anyway, it is really decent. I don't know if it's an exact replica. It's a detailed replica, detailed toy. All right, now let's get into more. when I was up at BMC. He knows the kind of stuff we do, so I forget when it's unopened, but it's open. He gave me a ton of these though. They're sort of a ninja dude with a red scarf, I guess. And it's kind of neat because he was playing with the design, I guess. The scarf create, the shadow of the scarf, or the blackout in front of the scarf creates the silhouette and a little sword. So kind of a neat little patch. Got a bunch of those to give out. And most of these are gone already, but there was probably 3 times this many. Some sucker was giving away patches for cheap, and they're decent name brand patches. I got a couple of meters, a fun meter. There's like the suck meter and all those different meters. Got a couple of different meters. Got a bunch of different infidels. I had a lot more. I had a stack of infidels like this big, but I did all the Yankee stuff, and everybody that bought stuff from the store and from Yankee, I sent out patches with them right away. I got a whole bunch of these joiner dies, and these are the same patches that you'd get from Gadsden Culpeper, like the place that actually makes these patches. So I don't know how this guy, he either stole them or killed somebody and got these patches. These are definitely hot. This is an original Ninja Please, a legit actual patch, and I got them for basically nothing. A whole bunch of zombie hunting permits, a whole bunch of those. I don't know. It's a patch from Chile, I think.
Yeah, whatever
That's
whatever
Chilean.
country that is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's Chilean. And then we got, I think this says something. And so that patch. I'll send those out to Patreons today. Here's one from California, but it's a regular California, not the. Got a Patriot in the dark, but I'm keeping it. Sorry. Woolarok did have a patch. It's lame. $4.50. But I'm keeping that. I only got one. Let's see what else we got. Some stickers from Blue Books. Their dude passed away recently. They had a pretty big kind of memorial to him, I suppose you could say, at their table at Wanamaker. And they had these stickers. Always have some from the gym. This shop in Denver, Triple J. I went there with Honda. He could probably tell you about it. But a neat story from a store that started small. And I'd call it a country club. Now, it's not a huge country club, but it's every bit as classy as the big one in Denver and the place in Austin that I've been to.
Yep, that's where I go shooting. When I want to be lazy, that's where I go shooting, I should say. Also, that's where I get all my guns shipped to, just because they're cool dudes and I want to support them.
Yeah, and they started out, like you say, as just a guy kind of shop in the garage, the back room of a house, and then it got bigger and more elaborate. And now it's in a facility, and it's nice and it's classy, but it's also like approachable. It's not like some of them are so snooty that you don't even want to go in there as a gun guy. Let's see. So we've got some brochures. Again, I've whittled down on these because everybody who ordered from the Gear website store over the last 20 days has been waiting on product. So I've put out at least one brochure, depending on if I was just fulfilling like one patch for Yankee. He did the Handguns for Heroes patches. So, this was a full bag. 100 of these went out. 101 of these went out. And if someone just got one patch, I'd give them like one brochure. But if they bought other stuff, then I would hand them out a couple of other brochures as, just a way to see some of the tour or whatever. So I kept 10 of these from each of the different places I visited. I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but I think it was like 8 museums and 8 shooting ranges and 14 gun shops. Of course, the rally, the Red October, the gun show. Some stuff from Jeremy's place. This is the guy from We Like Shooting who has a gun shop. This is just a map of New Mexico. So what's interesting as I go, this is my pile. This is my stuff. The town where they filmed the Red Dawn stuff used to have a cool little brochure in their visitor center that would talk about all the movies they made there, including Red Dawn. They've also done like No Country for Old Men was filmed there. There's some other decent movies that were filmed there, so they're super proud of them. And they had this little brochure that would talk about how cool the town was. And now I got a mod out there. Get rid of that squiggly line shit. Hell's YouTube letting us get spammed with foreign language shit? Where was that? So I didn't get any brochures from Las Vegas, New Mexico. They're either not proud of their movies anymore, or they're trying to hide from the fact that they made movies there. I'm not sure. All right, now let's talk about road maps. There's some states that are cool. Let's talk about Illinois, big jerk state. Get this. They just let you steal as many maps as you want. I think that's important. Then you got places like Indiana. Again, look how many maps I ripped off. You can take as many maps as you want. Let's talk about Colorado. Nothing. You don't even get a map. You got to get these shitty, like, look at Denver. And this is like some full of ads, garbage. Not even a map, really. Just ads. This is Trinidad.
You can get a map to all the weed shops, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's definitely like the cannabis tours of Denver maps and shit. Missouri, they had like 5 out, so I sold 2. And I gave a couple of maps out to Patreons that bought stuff off the game. So there's a couple of maps missing. I didn't get that many maps. I kind of like maps. I like having a map for sure. They should at least give you 1 map. But I really like it when they let you take a bunch, because I don't know how many people out there screwing city or states out of maps, but most people I think that are taking a bunch of maps are for souvenirs, so they can give them to people, right? You'd think they'd want people to know about their state.
Dude, we've got a free magazine that gets produced here, and basically like they pay for it with the advertisements in it that they just give out, and it's like a monthly issue kind of thing called Westward, and it's pretty cool. They have like little cool articles about Denver and stuff, and cool photos and stuff like that.
Well, I'm talking about rest areas. When you stop at a rest area as a tourist, I think that
Yeah.
back in the day, like even 24 hours, there'd be a person there to say, welcome to like Wisconsin or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Where are you going? Can I get you a cup of coffee? Like they actually gave a shit that you were alive on their roads or whatever.
Wow. When was that?
When I was a little kid. I've been doing road trips since I was a little kid, so I can remember.
I mean, so have I, but I don't remember that. It's never been like that when I was a kid, even.
I can remember looking forward to roads to rest areas because they were like little welcome centers or whatever. Most of them were.
Oh, that's cool. Usually they were just like a concrete slab where you could park your car with like a little miniature park that they would pay somebody to mow every now and again, in a bathroom, which was fine. I mean, like, it's better than nothing. It's a place you can stretch your legs and walk around, but there was never someone there like, hey, can I get you with coffee?
I mean, the coffee was just sitting right there. It's not like they went in the back room or nothing. They'd have like a coffee maker sitting there with coffee going. But because, again, they were like, you'd stop there to get information. And I shouldn't say every rest area was like that, but the rest areas that were information centers were fancier than they are now. You can see the remnants. Every one of them still has the place for a person to stand. There's just never anybody in there. In fact, I was at, I went to...
Did they get paid for that? I'm sure they did. You wouldn't just like volunteer to stand there, would you? Or is that like a volunteer job?
There might have been volunteers to do it because it's a neat thing to just meet people. All right, what? I could see people that volunteer to run campgrounds and stuff. So I could see somebody stopping, being at a rest area. You'd meet people from all over the freaking world. So this one, I think it was in New Mexico, who usually have really, really, I think New Mexico has the best rest areas of the whole country. But, is it New Mexico? It might have been, couldn't have been Colorado. It could have been Colorado, I guess. Anyhow, I go in because I've been trying to rape them for their menu, their maps, because I'm going to send them my Patreons, right? And you can only get like 5 or 6. I'm not a jerk. I'm not going to take every map they've got, but I'll take, if they got 20, I'll take 5. And if they've got 4, I'll take 2. So I go into each one if I'm stopping at the rest area anyway and look for a map. Anyhow, so there's this place where the person would have been standing, like a counter or whatever. And back behind that counter, I thought somebody was dead back there because I seen some legs. It was some like homeless bum like sleeping underneath like where the employee would have been, just like sleeping without a blanket or nothing. Just I'm like, ugh.
Yep.
If you're to the point where you're sleeping at a rest area without a blanket, like I'm not gonna bug you.
You've made some bad decisions to get there, that's for sure. You don't end up in that position like everything's going great. Just to plan. Just got to get through this little rough patch.
Got this from the J.M. Davis. This is the Daisy Airgun Museum, which is at
That's
the
cool.
but that's at the factory in Rogers, Arkansas. So again, I didn't do this right. If I would have had more time and figured it out, now I know about this. I'll probably put this on my list and get to the Daisy Museum. Although I'm told that the J.M. Davis section for BB guns is bigger than their whole museum, but it's still worth seeing it at the factory, right?
Dude, all this coffee talk, I need some coffee. Give me a sec. I'll be back.
I got a bunch of marshmallow Legos from China.
Sweet.
So I don't know how to divvy them up, but we'll do something with them. Oh shit, these almost made some kind of Nazi thing. Let me make sure that they're intentionally going the other way. I don't want anybody to be saying anything weird about my puppy. Let's see. And then I have some stickers from River's Edge. So that's Jeremy from We Like Shooting. I'll keep one. The rest go to Patreons. And I think I found 2 more J.M. Davis brochures, but I think that's about it. I've got a bunch of cards that I stole off the table from Rentia, from Pickle. I do have a Dragon Man one here, but I already gave most of those to Yankees people. I hooked up with the guy from GOA now. If I flip this over, this would be the marketing guy from GOA. I talked to him at DC.
Cool.
This one, River's Edge. This is that Triple J. But I got Snobs here. I got C4, and I got a couple of all the Gun Channels ones. So I'm showing these off because if you are a Gun Channels person and I'm sending you stuff anyway, and you'd like one of these guys' cards or gals' cards, gizzards, I'm not going to show their personal info, but if you'd like their card, I'm sure they don't mind. They put them on the table for people to take them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not going to send those out unless you ask for them. But if you're a patron, look at the comments here in a second. And feel free if I'm putting stuff together here and you want something specifically, that's what this is all about. Let me know and I'll send it to you. That's some brochures from Model 1 sales. Clover's got stuff from them. I did not realize they're in Texas. Like I said, I just know them from gun shows. But I think they're pretty decent. And some serious.
I haven't had any problem. No.
They had like when there was serious shortages.
The first, well, in fact, I'm looking at it right now. The first 300 Blackout that I built, the upper, everything from I say everything, obviously, like the handguards didn't, but the barrel, the upper bolt carrier group, flash hider, all that came from Model 1.
Anybody use Apex gun parts for anything? Probably not because it's AK stuff, but these guys were at the Red October thing in Vegas, and they, I think, sponsored or at least facilitated the swap meet, and I did not realize how many parts kits were still available. They had not just quantities of parts kits, but variety of parts kits that were pretty cool. I don't know if I didn't really take pictures in order to show the variety of stuff, but I might have inadvertently taken some pictures that show how many different types of parts kits they had, but it was pretty neat. And I suspect they have more than just that because they list here way more than just AKs for types of parts kits they have. So anyway,
how many parts kits do you still have left?
It's none of your business, and I'm definitely not going to say it on the internet, but I have some
Oh.
left. And then
I guess I meant like if you were trying to get rid of any.
Oh, I've got some for sale for damn sure. Yeah, if you need some, let me know. I have a bunch that I now know the prices of, and I don't know. As I get out of 2A and back into just exploiting gun people for their money, we'll do some AK stuff and explore like the craziness of hard shit.
Heck yeah.
So this one is neat. I never heard of it before. The Defenders Museum, Dalton Defenders Museum. I don't even know where Coffee, Kansas is. This is where Trump was talking about, right? Coffee, Bill?
Kotefevi?
But I picked these up, I think, in J.M. Davis. And these are, what do you call these things? Like, these are the cards like you see in hotels all the time and stuff. Like, there'll be a whole rack of these.
SWAT
Um,
cards or something.
something like that. And anyway, it seems neat. It seems like something that you'd see in Tombstone, so it's not going to be huge, I'm sure. But I definitely am going back to Kansas City, or I mean, not Kansas City, Dodge City, because the Boot Hill Museum is growing. I went there at night, so I'm sure my pictures are shitty, but I think 4 times the size, it seems like. You know, again, just from trying to judge it from how big the yard was and stuff, but they are doing some definite uh, increasing the size of that museum. So I'll definitely be back in Kansas at some time. So maybe if I can get to this one too. You know, it's a little bit different west than we had out here. You know, we were more gold mining and silver mining and copper mining and that kind of thing, and fighting off Apaches, where in Kansas it was more like the end of the cattle drives and poker players and trying to have law meet each other in the towns. So a different kind of old west. It's interesting. All right, well, that's all the stuff. So now I got to go back to wherever I put my list and try to figure out how to sort some of this stuff out. I was also going to read some of these comments. I don't know if you guys are reading them or not, to see if there's anything worth bringing up from all that stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah, I looked a second ago and it didn't look like it was other than the squiggly line stuff. Just wasn't a whole lot going on.
Okay.
Are you going to make a mellow patch?
I already did. But I got it. I did this one, and I still need to send. I made like 3 of them, but you know, my problem with is I gotta, you know, I design it and then you sew it, and then you find out things like you can kind of see on this one. I sewed the orange as a stripe, and then when I sewed her on top of it, the orange still bleeds through, right?
Yeah.
So it's not. So then I think I made one where I didn't sew the orange, which is good because then you're not wasting time sewing all those stupid stripes for no reason that you're going to sew right over. Plus, they don't bleed through. But for whatever reason, that one looks like ass too. So first, you make a design, you think it's going to look good, you sew it a few times, and you try to figure out how to make it look better. And then sometimes you just got to admit that it sucks, and that's pretty much where this one's at. But whenever I first did this and was naming her, somebody won one of these patches, and I still have to go back to my Instagram, figure out who that was, and then I was going to show them the 3 that I've made. And I'm keeping this one because it's the worst because it bleeds through real bad. But I'm going to give the one to whoever it was that figured out her name first, and then probably throw the other one into Patreons or something. But yeah, that's the only mellow patch I've made yet. I think it might work in PVC with the marshmallows, not trying to do different colors, but just being textured, right? And then have these pop out and have her pop out. But I don't know. And that's $400 to get these made. I'm not going to sell $400 with the mellow patches. So I don't know if I'll ever make them.
Yeah.
If she starts being good, making me all kinds of money.
You got to get her like a tactical doggy plate carrier.
No. She's too fluffy. I don't like when you take a fluffy dog and you smush all their hair down. It's bad enough having a collar on her.
You got a super chat.
Oh, I see that. Thanks, Garrett, for that. Again, appreciate it. I won't see that money. I only get maybe $5 a month on YouTube, so it takes $100 before you get a check. So I have it set to 100, and they're going to take what 30% of that. So I do appreciate the whatever the what am I trying to say? Like the
the gesture.
Yeah, the gesture. Thank you. But yeah, please, like Patreon, where we're chatting to, is much more efficient. It's only 5%, and they actually give it to us each month. But I appreciate the gesture. Thanks for that. And there's a lot of people that depend on these YouTube things. But I was listening to Liberty Doll on Friday. I don't know if you guys listened to her show on Friday. And she brought up a good point. You know, Liberty Doll is a girl, and she's got some good cross. What's the word? Like she hits more than one area of interest, right? She's a libertarian. She gets into politics. She's into guns. She's in Massachusetts, right? She's a girl, so she's going to have a certain amount of interest on the internet just from that. And she's interactive, right? So for lots of reasons, she gets plenty of super chats. But she mentioned something where if she gets copyrighted or not copyrighted, but what's the word where they strike you yellow on YouTube? They
Yeah.
take all your super chats from that. So she might have $200 worth of super chats in a video, and then it gets striked. She don't get any of that money. That's $200 that YouTube just keeps. And can you imagine being somebody who's like, I want to throw $20 towards this project, or $50 towards that project, or even $2 to this project, and then to not realize that moments after you did that, or even before you did that, because they don't stop taking super chats once they've decided you're not demonetized. They're kind of dicks about it. So as much as there are people that are using super chat for their income, I'm scared of those. I'm scared for those people because they might not have experienced that where, a chat that's a good portion of their monthly income, $100 chat or something gets struck and then boom, they're down $100 for that month. I do appreciate the gesture though. I know you support not just us, but I've seen you do that to lots and lots of channels. So thank you very much for supporting people on an individual level. We are doing a Patreon chat. I think the Patreon, the more I experience the community and our changing society, I value this. Like I was just talking when I started this thing, as I was going through and counting the people at the various perk levels, compared to other things that I've done in the past. Affiliate links is the worst, like the worst, because you have no ability to know it all unless a person says to you, I used an affiliate link and here's my experience. You have no interaction at all with the people that are supporting your projects. And you're almost forced. I guess it's not, I shouldn't say you have to, but it's almost forced where you have to put out content that appeals to the most variety of people, that it can appeal to the lowest common denominator to get them to have interest in what you're doing. And then you have to sell because you have to get them to encourage to click on your link. And it has to be encouraging lots of people because only a couple are going to actually click. And that just seems so unappealing compared to where we can go into Patreon. And even with 200 and something supporters, I know who they are. It tells me when somebody peels off. And a lot of times somebody will peel off and I'll go, oh shit, that's somebody who I know who they are. Like, what did I do? And then the next day in a chat, they'll be like, hey, blah, blah, something happened and this and this. And I'll be like, oh, okay, awesome. Like that never happened on YouTube where one day you get X amount of dollars and the next day you get X amount of dollars plus 100. And the next day you get X amount of dollars minus 300. You're like, what the hell? What did I do wrong? Like, did I do something wrong on Tuesday or did I do something wrong all last week? Like it's very crazy. And what you end up having to do is build your content for the plain vanilla. Like, what am I going to put on the buffet that everyone's going to want? And then it just turns into buttery, garbage, useless junk.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so let's see. Is it expensive to make a stuffed animal? Maybe a beanie, baby-sized stuffed mellow. Well, I did this. So you can buy toys. I haven't found a stuffed mellow yet. I'll keep looking. But what I find is, just different faces of dogs, like the different kinds, like a beagle looking dog that's all white. These aren't perfect. So when you stand them next to a Lego guy, it makes Mellow look like she's bigger than, like, Lassie or something. Like she's
husky.
Up to your chest or something.
I've been busy at work for the last couple of days. Is Biden pushing for gun shit right now, or what's going on with that 10-round magazine thing?
Well, I've been driving, so I've been listening to NPR, and that's 100% narrative of NPR lately has been, they call it the can't think of the word impeachment. Every other story is some angle on the impeachment and why we interested and why we have to be worried and why the impeachment's so important and why everything pivots on the impeachment and how significant it is. And finally, the impeachment, and everybody's quaking in their boots because of the impeachment. So they did very little. And I don't, what do you guys think? Since I guess now we're talking about that a little bit. I almost think that the impeachment is a win-win because either Trump fails and they win, they get rid of Trump, or if it all backfires on them, they get rid of Biden because they ignore it, but the whole thing rests on Biden's son being an unscrupulous criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I think it's a big waste of time and money, is what it is. Like it's a political grandstanding. It's the left saying we want to get rid of him because we don't think we're going to win if nothing happens. Right? If nothing happens from right now in the elections tomorrow, our guy's not going to win. Right. So how do we get rid of him? Okay, but the thing is that they only control the House. They don't control the Senate. So they can impeach him in the House, but they're not going to indict him in the Senate. So it's just going to be a big waste of time. It's going to go all the way up till the beginning of the election before it finally concludes, and everyone's going to be so sick of hearing about it. Like, I don't know. I think it's actually going to backfire on the left if nothing comes out, which I don't think anything will come out on Trump as far as this goes anyway. Like, maybe there's going to be another scandal between now and then, who knows? But as far as like the BS that they've been covering so far, I think it's not going to go anywhere, and it's just a waste of time, and it's just people standing on top of their soapbox and screaming so that their voice can be heard, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, for how many years now have they been looking for a smoking gun, right? It's like with all the resources that they have had put toward this type of thing, right? And I'm not a big Trump fan, don't get me wrong. But with all of the resources and time and energy and money spent going after Trump for what, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? I don't know. Now, if there was something major out there, they would have found it by now.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's so bifurcated as far as like your view on should Trump be impeached depends on your political stance, right? It has nothing to do with facts. It has nothing to do with like a set of standards or moral objectivity or anything like that. It's what side of this line am I on? Okay, that's what I believe. That's what I feel we should do.
Yeah.
All right, am I back now?
Yep.
You are.
Okay, I think my whole internet went down. Plus, this phone's getting super hot, so I'm going to try doing it without the light on here and see if I can still be salvaged without having this light on and cooking this phone. So I just got my phone sitting on top of a light, which then, setting on, so all that heat from the light. Man, it looks super fuzzy. Am I crazy, or is my camera got all gross?
Yeah, it's a little out of focus.
So anyway, we'll try to make do. Yeah, I think there was just some gross on it. So anyway, so thanks for being patient with the connection thing, because both of my computers went off. I think my house internet just went down. All right, so you guys were talking about the impeachment.
Yeah, and as far as Biden going after the 10-round magazines right now, I think that just has to be a result of, weren't there 2 shootings that happened the last week or some BS, something that was like, that happened the last couple of days, and everyone's talking about that now, and, forgot about the last one. So it's fresh in everyone's minds. And hey, I'm a political guy, so let me go ahead and, take advantage of this political climate for what I can. I don't know. That's what that is. But it's not going to go through, I don't think. Like, there's no... I hope Trump is on our side. He said that he's, recently he said that he's behind the Second Amendment and that he's going to support everybody. And that might be, another BS thing, and I hope it's not. But when you look at the alternatives, there's Biden saying, 10-round magazines. There's Beto saying, take them all. There's,
Well, I
don't
can
know.
tell you, and I've just been on 21 days on the road, and for whatever reason, I drove myself nuts listening to NPR for a really good portion of it. And here's, I think, why. And I'm going to probably try to do something about this and find out from people like truck drivers who probably have their finger on this pulse better than I do, even just from experiencing it once. But you know how when you go out in the middle of nowhere when you're driving, very often you're always going to get some kind of religious channels, like the church channels or whatever can always get out there no matter where. They've got the signal or whatever and the interest in keeping that signal out there. So it's just like having a Bible in a hotel room. That's almost a given. And then almost as much of a given is like a country western channel, right? Like there's almost always one of them somewhere when you're out in the middle of nowhere. But recently, in this last trip specifically, I've noticed. Do you want this thing, Clover?
Yeah, sure.
Unless there's another Patreon out there from Texas who wants it, you can steal it from Clover. You can trump him right now. But I've noticed that on this trip, NPR came clearly everywhere, blew my mind. And I probably I spent so much time listening. It's because I'm not in the country and I got no interest in listening to, the kind of radio stuff that happens. So with those three options into NPR and four. But here's the
Your robot is super bad, G.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Maybe your internet or something. Or is it me? Sana's still there?
I linked.
Kevin says he's roboting. So, where's Honda? Did Honda leave?
Shit, my mic was muted because my roommates are like partying upstairs.
So
watching football and making all this noise. I was trying not to interrupt. Yeah, he roboted and he trailed off, dude. He's out.
Trying to figure out what the heck was going on because it's like, okay.
No, sorry, dude. Yeah, like I was responding to you, but I forgot that I muted my mic because they were screaming at football or whatever.
Well, I mean, he said his internet was goofing up, so.
Yeah, I actually got to drop out here. The kids are about to be here, and I got to go pick them up some lunch and start getting ready for the frog chat tonight. So
I've got a mail in a second, too, like in the next 10 minutes. But I don't know. Maybe he'll come back. If not, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just hopping back on his computer. I think his phone probably overheated. Like he was saying.
Yeah, could be.
Well, like it's super hot and starts acting weird, Yep. What part of Texas are you in? Well, northern Texas, but like where?
Turkey County, which is in eastern Texas.
Oh, you're in eastern Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's like the farthest part of Texas from me. Never mind.
Yeah, it's literally to two. I think there may be two counties. Is there two? Yeah, two counties. I think, and we're in Louisiana, so
yeah,
it's not that far to, an hour to Louisiana.
Well, I mean, if you're going to the Panhandle, it's really not very far from Colorado from where I'm at. I mean, you can get there in 8 hours. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
But if you're going to anywhere else in Texas, like
yeah, you don't get whenever we travel, getting out of Texas is the battle. Getting out of Texas, like once you can get out of Texas, you're fine. But if you're headed north, or you can't go south really, but if you're headed north or west, especially, it's just getting out of Texas. Now east is not too terribly bad. But yeah, you drive, like SHOT Show every year. It's about the Texas border is about halfway. So you spend half your time driving in Texas. And it's the same way when we went to Tulsa last weekend. Spent, half the trip is driving in Texas. And what makes it even more sucky is where I live I am minimum of an hour from any type of an interstate, right? And I say minimum because that depends on traffic and a lot of other things. You're talking a lot of like 2 lane roads and white hair grandma and grandpa driving slow crap and big trucks driving slow and farm. You never know. And so um, it's horrible. I mean, I don't know. I get envious sometimes at how quick you can get around for people that live someplace that are like 5 minutes from an interstate, you know. But if I lived like that, I wouldn't be in the middle of nowhere, which is nice too.
Am I back on here now?
You are. Yeah.
Right. So then, what, Honda dropped out?
I think Honda dropped. Yeah. He said he had to go. I've
Oh,
got to
okay.
go too. In about, I don't know,
And end it
5 minutes.
because my internet's causing trouble. I had to drop off my home internet and get onto just the plain old phone. So I don't know if this is a good connection or not.
Yeah. I mean,
But see what
sounds good.
we're gonna divvy up this piles of loot. I've just been moving them so I can spread out here. We'll do 11 piles of loot to the pit crew, 7 piles of loot to the ammo uh, tier, 7 of them going out to the chocolate chip pancakes, and then we'll take the rest of stuff. There's other stuff out here though. So this is stuff from the Gun Show Loophole Tour. Other stuff that'll get included is these. I made some drawings of Aardvark from Red Dawn and got a stack of these made. So we'll send these out. These are for Patreon. We've got. Let's see. We've. Oh, I guess I won't be able to show you, but somewhere I stuck them somewhere before I left. This is the original Chairs Against the Wall pin. Where do I have a new one? So Chairs Against the Wall is one of the unique ones from Red Dawn. The John Has a Long Mustache is a legit one from the movie, and I believe John Has a Long Mustache was a legit code from D-Day. But Chairs Against the Wall, I believe, is from just Red Dawn. So Chairs Against the Wall was the first Chairs Against the Wall design I did. There's some other ones out there that I think are weak, and this was designed to be a more cool Chairs Against the Wall. Then I did, the concept was to do some different chairs against walls. So this was the second one. I originally had just sewn these. I don't have one as an example here, but we eventually did them as a PVC patch with the patch batch last year. And then I've done buttons or pins or whatever these are with that first version. And then this is one of the ones I sewed here in Tucson. But then we have these pins, and I just can't find them. But these were the originals, a little bit smaller. I think these are 1 inch. These are 1.5s. And I'll be sending these out to patrons as well. So that's the second version of Chairs Against the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And we got maps. We've got some brochures. Patrons will get a little piece of the Gun Show Loophole Tour. There are some other stickers over here too that I'll have to go through before I start packaging everything up. But this is our way every other month of saying thanks to our patrons, the people that financially support what we're doing, give us legit feedback. You know, getting feedback from an anonymous platform is one thing, but it's not necessarily useful. It can be, but it's not necessarily useful. Getting feedback from people that are intimately interested in what we're creating is useful. So Patreon, effective platform on many levels. And this is one way that we say thanks to the people that are keeping our projects online, hopefully growing next year, learning a lot from the tour over the last few years. Looking forward to taking the tour to another level next year. And in the next month or so, we'll be gearing up towards that. I want to thank Honda for jumping in. He was gracious enough to let me hang out at his place. Denver is not a very what's the word? Like they're not very welcoming to transients, to bums that are just trying to live there for nothing. So Honda made that a lot easier and gave me kind of a day to hang out there and not have to worry about rushing around shuffling parking lots. and then we checked out that shop. But then, he's just the frog chats. He'll have one of those later on today. They're going to be talking. The hell did you say we're going to talk about?
Rules for radicals.
Yeah, that's right. A book, Rules for Radicals. Pretty interesting topic. And that's when Clover just jumped in. So thanks, Clover, for jumping in from Texas.
Yeah.
Be probably working on all kinds of stuff here going forwards. You got anything you want to plug before we head out?
No, I'm good. I'm glad that you said something just a minute ago when you were talking about Patreon, and it reminded me that yeah, I've got to get a hold of my Still Target people and let them know to send a target to the winner of our little Patreon thing this month. I haven't done that yet. We did that last Monday. We gave it away, and I forgot to contact them with everything that's going on. So thanks for reminding me.
Fully lost internet. You think that has anything to do with the Windows issues? There's like Windows dropping support. Got one of them stupid messages the other day.
I don't think so. No.
Let's see. So the people are chatting out here, taking a second to see what's saying. Back video is okay. Yeah, the new remake of that movie, the second Red Dawn is really Tomorrow When the War Began, which is the girl version of Red Dawn from Australia. And that is the second Red Dawn. That other movie is just to cause strife and for Hollywood to throw a wrench into things. But it has no value. It's not worth watching. But say that we're losing the young lads since the mindset that is being promoted is the Democrat side. I can't agree. If you listen to Clover's chats with the kids, they're confident and anxious for taking over. When I watch some of the podcasts and things from the new guard or whatever you want to call, like the next stream, they're aware and they're not satisfied with being given stuff on a plate.
Yep.
What is the cycle when you have good times? They create soft men, and then that creates hard times, and that creates strong men or something. There's that fluctuation, that cause and effect.
Right.
When you just look at like the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, we go from like business suits to super radical hippies to rock and rollers to business suits again. There's like trends to stuff and things evolve, but we kind of stay in these realms. So I think that it's the same thing when you're not challenged and you're told everything is perfect. We're the descendants, stealing from Kevin's thing. We're the descendants of people that were not satisfied everywhere else on this planet. Like this whole planet is full of crazy, stupid ideas for how to run a country. And the people that were not satisfied with that over the last couple of 100 years said, screw you, I'm going to the place where I can do my own thing and I can be an individual, and that is appreciated. And we're the descendants of that, or at least we're the people who are like one or two generations from the people that decided, screw all that other shit, I'm coming here. And I just don't see our blood taken to this whole, like, here's what you're told and do it. So I hear you, but I just can't, I don't know, I just can't agree. Like, I definitely don't go out and meet the new generation or nothing, but
Well,
from what I've had of it, I think they're competent.
I think what people fail to realize, and I think a lot of it is people that don't have children that say that, unfortunately. And the reason I say that is, or they're not, in tune with the younger generations. And part of the reason I say that is there is truth to our educational institutions, be it public school, be it institutions of higher learning, having that leftist slant, right? But the issue is, as you start getting up and kids start getting older, especially into college age, a lot of those kids, they know that they get the idea, they've got to go to school and they've got to make the grade and they've got to get through that part of their life. You know what I mean? It's not that they agree with that and they don't agree with that, but they do what they got to do to get through, right? So when you are out there and you see that, then a lot of people have this thing of, they've got it and you're screwing over our kids and messing them up and brainwashing them or indoctrinating them or this, that, and the other. And I've seen it multiple times. I've seen kids keep their mouth shut, keep their head down, get through school, graduate, get their degrees, whatever they got to be, come out, right? And they're fine. They're good, normal, level-headed, common sense, well educated at that point, and they can full well tell you those biases and stuff that they've seen in college, and they absolutely don't agree with them, right? Um, but I've had that conversation with multiple kids in the past, and so just keep that in mind. I mean, just because there is that leftist tilt does not mean that all of the kids subscribe to that leftist tilt, and even the ones that seem like they do, they eventually come out. They're basically doing what they've got to do to basically survive, right? That situation, and then once they're out, they're fine, and even potentially worse than that. I mean, they could come out with a little bit of animosity that they had to go through that. So it might even push them further to, there's a right, let's say, on some type of political thing. So, yeah, I don't think it's.
I don't look at the right as like, I don't need people to be right, I mean, to the right politically, just to not be left. So I don't care about that, but I like that thinking as an individual versus somebody else will do it, or the state can do this better, or collectively we're
more of a liberty. Yeah, when I say left and right, I mean like totalitarianism or whatever, statism versus liberty.
Exactly.
More than political party or anything like that.
I agree with, think that at least for me, when I had to deal with that stuff, growing up or dealing with career choices and looking at a career choice, and do I want to go down that path, realistically, like when I'm actually about to make that career choice, and you actually have to make those decisions. The fact that I had to be indoctrinated in school, like, taught me enough to go, hell no, I'm not going down that path. Like, I didn't like it at the level I had to deal with it at school. The hell if I'm going to go into a career where I have to deal with this constantly, right? So
right.
I think there's that level where, again, like, they're gonna, no matter what they have to weed through, it's forging them, right? They're coming out the other end. Like, there's no way I'm participating in this on a bigger scale, I hope.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. Anything that mainstream media sources are telling you, I would seriously question. Mainstream media sources want to talk about, the March for Our Lives and the things that these kids are doing. And they want to tell you about this and tell you about that. And I don't know. You need to seriously question popular opinion, or, and stuff like that on the news. You need to seriously question it.
Here you go, Clover.
And that's a good plug for the Gay Frog Chat, by the way. But yeah, what do we got? The future of the NRA. Yeah, right.
So I think it was, again, I'm going to highly recommend I'm going to highly recommend the interview that Cheryl Todd did with Rob Pincus on November 10th. I just barely listened to it yesterday, but it is awesome. It's like an hour and 40 something minutes. I got the hiccups. One of the things that Pincus brought up is what you just kind of said there, I think, that, dang it, you were saying about how the kids, dang it, I got mixed up. Fucking Wayne LaPierre, you screwed me over.
I know, yeah, right. All you have to do is just put a magazine out with his face on it, and it derails the whole thing. The power of the Wayne.
Oh, dang it, it was good too. You were just talking at the end there. You were wrapping it up with the kids were going to get like hardened to not want to go down these paths or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And I can't think of what the hell, but I'll think of it when I'm not trying to think.
Well, I mean, when they have to go through and, to get to the goal, whatever they've got set, and then they've got to endure that, they're not thinking that way. They're not wired to think that way. They weren't raised to think that way, but then they've got to go through that. Well, that makes them come out the other side a little more staunch even than, it has a reverse effect, I guess is what I'm saying, where you would think, oh, well, they're going in and they're getting indoctrinated, so that's going to put an opposite tilt, right, on whatever their belief or ideology might be. And it actually is not true. It's actually doing the opposite, because I mean, we tend to be, as young people, we tend to be a little bit revolutionary and push back anyway. So when you go into a situation that you knowingly have to endure to get to your goal, then that creates a little bit of an animosity towards that in the end. So they come out the other side, actually more hardened. You're exactly right. More hardened to their original position than turn to the dark side, so to speak.
It's like when you try to push a tree, sometimes they just bend and they turn whatever direction you want. Other times they just become resistant and strong root or strong trunks. When you finally let go, they're just never going to bend again.
Well, and I mean, think about.
I remember now. So Pincus and Cheryl were talking, and it's an hour and 45 minutes, I think. So somewhere in the middle of there, Pincus brought up something. I don't think it was an actual point to his as much as it brought up a point that I think is something that could be focused on. When you look at and I think he was talking, it came up because they were talking about whoever it was, one of the surprise speaker at the two-way rally was a guy from the Violence Policy Center, who was like one of the lawyers or some heavy hitter for the Violence Policy Center.
He was the ex-Brady campaign guy or something.
Brady campaign. It was some major anti-gun campaign guy switched sides, and at the rally he showed up and said, "Here's why I switched sides." And there's some controversy to people who think that he's a double agent, but at the same time, he started this whole thing before they even knew there was a rally. But here nor there, there's this guy from the other side who came to this side, and that's what started this conversation. And what Pincus was saying was something to the effect of like, look at who this guy is. Like his story is, and I remember the story in a nutshell, that something happened to this guy. He was just minding his business, being a dude who doesn't like guns or doesn't hate guns, just being some non-gun person in the world. Something happens to his brother and he becomes an anti-gun person. So he was like, I don't care about guns. I don't care about them one way or the other. Something bad happened to somebody I care about. All of a sudden, I hate guns. There's no good reason for guns. And this guy took it to like, I'm going to become a high up in this anti-gun organization. And for years, he never questioned it. And because everybody's egging him on, yeah, everybody hates guns. Let's go hate guns together. He just went full headstrong into hating guns. Well, once he kind of got enlightened, he changed his mind and now he's not anti-gun anymore. Well, Pincus was talking about that. And what he said was something like, look at who the anti-gun people have to go to. They have to exploit situations. They have to exploit like I'm going to say ignorance, like unawareness like that. They have to exploit when a person is ripe, they exploit that person and use them up. And if the person wises up, if the person changes their mind, they're let go. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's only something that the antis do, but it's certainly the way the antis run. And then the part that Pincus brought up, which I don't think was part of what he was talking about, but the part that hit home to me is he said something like, look who the antis are using today. And look at it. It's kids. They're going to a situation that happened at a high school. Some kids who never thought, and I think this is Pincus's words, a bunch of kids who didn't think nothing about guns on Tuesday, on Thursday are the spokespeople for the anti-gun side. So they're taking people who have no ambition or interest or knowledge or reason to be there, and they're pushing them onto the national stage as spokesmen. Is that desperation? Is that just pure evil? I can't believe that's a good strategy. That's just like right. They have no other choice, or they're willing to stoop that low. But that's just, yeah.
Well, especially not with kids, because even if it's a situation, and we don't know what's behind it, but we certainly know that Bloomberg money is in play, and money is in play somewhere, and power and perks and all kind of gifts and whatever it might be, right? So, look at that from the kid's standpoint. Well, a couple of things are going to play out. I mean, that can't last forever. People grow up, right? So they can't exploit the kids, right? And they could move on to new kids. Don't get me wrong, but they can't exploit the same kids. So eventually, they're going to dump them, right? They're going to drop them like a hot potato. Like you're too old. That was 5 years ago. That was 10 years ago. Nobody cares. So that's going to cause those kids to think.
One of those kids already jumped camp. So exactly.
Yeah. And then on the top of that, kids grow up on their own and realize. Kids are going to wake up on their own and realize, right? So you got a couple of different dynamics at play. So yeah, utilizing kids is not, manipulating kids, I should say, is not a smart move. Utilizing kids that are steadfast in their beliefs, right? That are good, well-rounded kids that are doing things for the right reasons because they believe it, because they work hard, because they are educated on said, topics and subjects and whatever. Totally different situation. I mean, take for example, take for example I forgot. I think it was the first season, but I go back to this, Mia Farinelli that I had on. I mean, she's always in D.C. talking with uh, congressmen and talking with senators, and she was, in that Time, article that they wrote, the one that Katie was in. She was in that, right? So, but the difference is nobody's paying her. She's well educated in the subject. She has been in and around shooting and shooting sports for years. So, she has that, that genuine knowledge. Like you said, it's all about the ignorance and exploitation of the ignorance, and that can't be done with her.
Where did that come from? We were talking about a comment. Was it from the New Red Dawn one? I don't know how we got into that, but that's what happens when we're talking live. You get into
Yeah, somebody talked about the gloom and doom of this next generation. And that aggravates me too. I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that. I don't see that. Yeah.
Now
I mean, I agree in the premise. Don't get me wrong. I agree in the premise. Totally agree. I mean, we still, our future generations slowly degrade as far as their knowledge of freedom and liberty and civics and a lot of other stuff, and their level of morality, and a lot of different factors come into play with that. Is if that slowly degrades from generation to generation, yes, it's going to come a time, but history sort of shows that, just like you talked about just a second ago, G, that for the most part it's a cycle, right? You get radical hippies that have kids. Kids grow up with radical hippie parents. They become more conservative because it's sort of human nature to rebel a bit. Those kids have kids. They're uber, conservative, have kids that grow up to be hippies. You see what I'm saying? And it's just kind of but we talk about this generation, and there was really no, hard and fast defining line when it comes to generations. And I say that because that generations have to do with, how old one is when they have children, and, that sort of thing. So, you've got some people that have children later in life. You've got some people that have children younger in life. Well, when you've got situations like that, you start either creating generational gaps or bypassing generations, right? And so it's really a weird dynamic.
Well, and I think that we had the, what do you call it? The baby boom, right? So World War II happens, everybody comes home, they start having babies, they start buying cars, they start building urban sprawl, right? Buying homes, and we start the next level, like industrialization or whatever. So there we had a real dividing line. Like all of a sudden a generation happens, like in a big wave, like within years, like just a few years. I think that created a giant line, but like you say, there's too much, like there's nothing that's going to create a giant line anymore. So we're going to have people having kids when they're young, people having kids when they're old. It starts blurring the lines between generations. And I suspect we're not going to have giant generations anymore. Like that baby boom was a big population spike,
right?
And those little echoes in the generational time frame. But I think at some point it'll just turn into some fluctuation that's less, whatever, every 20 years type.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll always be demographics, right? I mean, you'll always have that aspect of things, but but yeah, I mean, that was an event that happened that will likely never happen again. That created a situation where there was a bunch of people born within a certain period of time. And yeah, now it's just all spread out. So, when people speak to generational issues, they're like, "Oh, the Gen X and the Millennials and the Gen Ys and this and that and the other," and it's like, I don't know, I can't get on board. I don't mind speaking demographically about stuff if that's what you want to do, and you'll hear me talk about when I do that. I mean, I talk about specifically college age kids, early 20s. I talk about late junior high, early high school kids, as far as my perspectives and the things that I see. So I'm not using this broad brush of a generation. I'm being specific to a demographic, and I
Like
think
not
when you
the Gen Ys, but instead like kids that are too young to buy their own rifle, or kids that can already buy their own handgun.
right,
Like,
yeah,
like lines in the sand, not generational lines in years or something.
right, yeah, yeah, and
Well,
the generational thing I think that's an anti-tactic,
Yes.
anti-liberty, anti-freedom, whatever,
Yeah.
because the generation, that's generalizing things. It's generalizing, everybody has their own definition of what a Gen Xer is or a Gen Yer is or whatever. They put themselves in that, under that label or in that camp, and they put other people there, right? And that's that's easier to, it's more effective, right? It's a more effective way for them to put that out there because it leaves certain things to be subjective. Whereas if you come out and you said, well, all 12-year-olds think this way. Well, if I've got a 12-year-old that doesn't think that way, I'm going to call BS, right? So I don't know, there's just something about, and it goes into the language we use, and I think that it has something to do with that.
I'm just going to stab every one of these and see if I can go all the way through every single page so that everyone gets a little taste of this knife.
What are you going to do?
I'm just stabbing every single one of these envelopes with this knife just so that I can say that everyone is going to get a little taste of it, because not everyone will get it. I'm hitting one in there somewhere. I missed the books on the side of the thing.
I like it.
Go through the book if I have to.
Yeah, just be careful.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
As long as you don't stab yourself, you're all right.
If I stab myself, then somebody gets blood. It's even. I guess there's two that I missed, so I'm just going to technically stab through these last two. Oh shit, I'm going all over the place. All right, well, you get the point. They've all been stabbed.
So now that you've stabbed them, the sorter machine will probably grab the stab thing. Rip them all open.
I hope not. I kind of stabbed them in a place that hopefully doesn't run them too bad. But I was trying not to like rip a hole, like, a real gash out of it. There's just a stab on both sides. Right. It came out pretty good. But I'm just going to then randomly take this one and jam it in here. So this is the one that it'll be in. I have to label them and everything, so it's going to be random to somebody.
Oh, wow. That was totally random. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like I say. And then I'm going to go back and I put stickers in here, and there's some stickers over here underneath of this magazine.
Oh, wow. That was cool. Did you make that?
Yeah, that's the one where I took plastic on the one side, and then it's sort of like, I don't know how to call it, like a cavity, and then filled it up with but you can't read the head stamp. So it's not really, it's more art than an actual ammo collection or whatever. Just playing with the plastics. But underneath of all this stuff, I've got, I think these were from Gun Rights Policy, actually, right?
Yeah. Those were
these, whoever these are. So I'll put some of these in, and I'm going to put the stickers in a piece of paper that says thanks for supporting us and all that. But this is just so I can manage them here in my quarter place. These are the pit crew. This is the 20 people, 11 people that keep the van on the road. So one of them is getting the, what do you call it? That, I guess I will have to make sure that I don't send it to like California or something. But I'm pretty sure the 11 people that are doing the pit crew live in states where I can send stuff like that. But yeah, this is the pit crew stuff. This was a sample of some of the brochures and some of the patches and that knife. And like I say, I'll throw some stuff in from gun rights policy and some other swag I've got here on the table. Then I'll do the same thing with the 7 people that do the box of ammo a month, the 7 people that do the chocolate chip pancakes. I was just eating chocolate chip pancakes this morning, actually. And then with the 48 people that do the BLT and the 36 people that are on the coffee, we send out a sticker and patches kind of randomly. So we'll, those are going to be more like an envelope with stamps on them. These obviously cost $7.50 a piece. So this is like $80 worth of shipping right here. We can't afford to do this with every one of the 200 backers. And I'm sure they don't want us to do that because the whole idea is to keep our projects online. I'm also going to throw in some of this 550 to some of the ammo and chocolate chip backers, but we'll do all that off here because I'm right now on my phone. I have to go figure out what happened to my home internet, and Clover's got other stuff to do too. So thanks everybody for joining us. I think we kind of started that whole thing like 30 minutes ago when I was asking.
We did,
Clover.
yeah.
But yeah, that's what it's all about. I think today you'll see Gary is still doing work or something, so he didn't do like his show on Sunday. But there'll be a Yankee show, I think. Honda, who was just in here, does his frog chat. Later on, Pancakes will do his end of the week chat. I don't know if Rich does a show today or not still. But there's a schedule over on Gun Channels. If you're doing something, encourage you to try it. If you like it, you're going to do it on a regular basis, let us know. We'll put it on the schedule over on Gun Channels. Otherwise, see y'all next time.
Peace.
All right, maybe I can't turn it off from here. It just makes a little pop up. I have to wait for the pop up.